Good afternoon. If everybody will sign in, please. Thank you. All right. I call this zoning meeting to order for Tuesday, September 17th at 5 p.m. And if everyone will press present, all the commissioners, that's how we're going to do roll call. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Or I don't need to do that. Okay. All right.
Okay, so we have 11 members present. The next item is a roll call for the junior commissioners. Go ahead.
All right. Vinay Brown. Jordan Partain. Taylor Cash.
Here.
Henry Casey. Rebecca Pack.
Here.
Willie Martinez.
Here.
Brooke Bradley. Here. Ariana Hall. Here. Camden Browning. Here. Taj Bowers.
Here.
Bridget Hoppenrath.
Thank you. I'll now turn it over to Commissioner Fox for the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, please. Please flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, amendments to the agenda. We have no additions, no withdrawals. Defer to March is number 6, and defer to May is number 4. Any discussion? All right, I've got a motion by Commissioner Thompson and a second by Commissioner Durrett, and voting is now open. You may change your vote. And voting is closed. Madam Clerk?
Motion carried.
Perfect. All right. Approval of minutes of previous meeting. Any discussion? Seeing none, I have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jay and a second by Commissioner Durrett. Commissioner Fox, do you have a?
I do have a comment, Madam Chair, with regard to the minutes and voting with respect to this meeting. It came to my attention that the vote records of the commission are not contemporaneously available to people who are watching online. And
I've actually spoke to Zach about this. Zach in here? We have given CTV the information and they display it in their way. That is not something we can force, but I have asked Zach to let them know that we've gotten a couple of calls about it.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, voting is open. You may change your vote.
Commissioner Jackson.
All right, and voting is closed. Madam Clerk? And that passed 11-0. We have no one signed up for public forum. I'll now turn it over to Director Moyers to swear in the applicants.
All right, if you're here to speak to this body on any item that's on the agenda, either for or against, please stand and raise your right hand. Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm testimony you're about to give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Be seated, please.
Thank you very much. All right, next item, Madam Clerk.
Item number 1B26RZ, request of George Ewert for rezoning from RB General Residential to RP Rural Preservation, property located at 0 Riverside Drive, parcel ID 095-00203 in the First Commission District.
Perfect. Is the applicant present? Hi, just come forward. State your name and county of residence, please.
My name is George Ewert, 404 Bearden Park Circle, Knoxville, Tennessee, Knox County.
Thank you. And I didn't have anyone signed up in opposition, so Director Brooks?
Planning Commission recommends that County Commission approve the RP Rural Preservation Zone because it's consistent with the comprehensive plan and the subject property's function and surroundings.
Thank you. Would you like to speak to your project?
I don't have anything to say other than, we're trying to preserve this area, so that's why we're changing the zoning of it. So that's it, yeah.
Perfect. All right, do we have any questions from commissioners? Seeing none, Commissioner Thompson?
Thank you. Madam Chair. No, I just wanted to say, you're one of the few that are actually openly, willing to downzone your property. Any other reasons why you decided to do this? I know that there's some who have realized that agriculture is a little restrictive in some of the zoning, and rural preservation gives you some more options. What were some of your reasons?
We are looking at a facility down there that is going to enhance Knox County as a whole, and it's tied into the agricultural process, basically. And we just want to make sure that what we're doing, and then the rest of the land that is across the railroad tracks, we want to look at that as a preserve that will maybe tie into a park at some time.
Okay. No, thank you. And the reason I asked for you to elaborate on that is because we don't see this very often. I think you may be the third in the county to have done this rezoning, because there's really not an incentive to downzone arbitrarily, but in this scenario, there are certain uses in ag that are done use on review. But if you downzone to rural preservation, because the housing units are now, instead of 1 per acre, it's now 1 per 15 acres. And so by doing this downzoning, you're restricting, you're self-limiting the number of housing units you can put on here, but it gives you more latitude with things that would be a use on review and under ag are now a use by right in rural preservation. So I just thought I'd elaborate on that a little bit. Thank you.
And the majority of the area across the railroad tracks is in the floodplain, so we couldn't do anything there anyway.
You probably couldn't do anything with it.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, seeing no further discussion, we are going to turn this over to Commissioner Rawls. Everybody be gentle on him, his first zoning.
No, I was making the motion and Commissioner Thompson, you didn't have to touch it.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I understand. And
You got to give him his moment.
yeah,
He never
I don't
gets
get
this.
I don't get these often because you're actually in my district, and I will probably never see another person for maybe a couple of years. So they don't understand that this is important to me. But no, because you've downzoned the property, I mean, I'm okay with it. So I make a motion that we accept this as it is. Yeah.
Great job. We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Rawls and a second by Commissioner Durrett. We are open voting now. That's okay. All right, open voting. You can change your vote, and voting is closed. And that is 11 yeses and 0 nos. Best of luck with your project.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for your service.
Thank you. All right, next item, please.
Item number 2 is 12G25RZ, request of SH Build Group Team from CNK Neighborhood Commercial with conditions and TO Technology Overlay to PC Planned Commercial and TO Technology Overlay. Property located at 0 Level Road, parcel ID 118-01203 in the 3rd Commission District.
Thank you. Is the applicant present? No. Okay, we will come back to that. Next item, please.
Item number 3, 12J25RZ, is a request of Abdul Rahman Quazim for rezoning from A agricultural to RA low-density residential, property located at 1402 Andes Road, parcel ID 105100 in the 3rd Commission District.
Thank you. Is the applicant present? Come on up to the podium, please. State your name and county of residence.
Abdurrahman Qasim, I live in Farragut, 403 Goldie Lane.
Okay, I don't have anybody signed up for opposition, so Director Brooks.
Planning Commission recommends that County Commission approve the RA low-density residential zone because it's consistent with the Knox County Comprehensive Plan and surrounding development.
Thank you. You want to tell us a little bit about your project? You were here last month and you did what I asked. You reached out to the neighbors and everybody seemed very happy and okay. So just tell us one more time what you're planning on doing there.
So we're just developing single home, 4 houses.
For
in
single
that
family
lot.
homes.
Yes, yeah. It's a beautiful area and we'll love to finish this project by this year.
Perfect. All right. Do we have any questions from commissioners? All right. Well, I will turn it over to myself and make a motion to approve. So I've got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Oster and second by Commissioner Thompson. Voting is now open. And you may change your vote. And voting is closed. And that is 11 yes and 0 no. Best of luck with your project. Keep my number because I can't wait to come over and see it.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Have a great
Appreciate it.
evening.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Item number 4 is deferred to May, so we are on number 5. 1E 26RZ is a request of Smart Hospitality LLC for rezoning from PR Planned Residential up to 5 dwelling units per acre to PR Planned Residential up to 12 dwelling units per acre. Property is located at 1215 Everett Road, parcel ID 141-04114 in the 6th Commission District.
Thank you. Hello, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
You know the rule.
I'll try to figure it out, although I will say I walked in the other room a little while ago and had City of Knox when I broke out. So, anyway.
Welcome.
I hope so. I hope so. Robert Campbell, 7523 Taggart Lane, and I'm here to rezone a piece of property we're going to put some apartments on. It's right off of Everett at Watt Road, that intersection.
Okay.
Backs up to the interstate, and I think the new land growth plan increased the density on it, so we thought while we were in the middle of planning for our project, we would go ahead and try to max out what we could to make sure we didn't leave some property vacant since it's already been set up for that.
Perfect. Okay, we have no one signed up in opposition. No one's here in opposition, so Director Brooks.
Planning Commission recommends that County Commission approve the PR Planned Residential Zone up to 10 dwelling units per acre because it's consistent with the Knox County Comprehensive Plan, subject to 2 conditions.
Thank you. Do commissioners have any questions? Seeing none, I will turn this over to District Commissioner Hill.
Thank you. I did go out and look. Mr. Campbell's exactly right. This new development and things that are moving along the Watt Road area have certainly made this area, it's going to be very sought after. I will make a recommendation, which will coincide with planning's recommendation of 10 per acre, because it is not consistent with the Knox County Comprehensive Plan, and I do want the 2 conditions also included.
Okay. Is that your motion?
That is my motion.
If you'll push the motion button for me. Perfect. Do we have a second? All right, so we've got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Hill and a second by Commissioner Jay. Voting is open. And you may change your vote. And voting is closed. And that passed 9 yes and 2 no. Best of luck with your project.
Thank y'all very
Have a
much.
good
Y'all be
evening.
safe. Thanks.
Next item, please.
Item number 7 is a request of Highland Proper LLC for rezoning from A agricultural to RA low-density residential. Property located at 0 McLeod Road, parcel ID 019-20206 in the 7th Commission District.
Thank you. Applicant present. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Give me your name and county of residence,
Yep.
please.
Aaron Kuntz. We're in Blount County, 5437 Pryor Road, Maryville.
Perfect. Thank you. There was no one signed up in opposition and no one is here to speak. Director Brooks.
Planning Commission recommends that County Commission approve RA Low Density Residential Zone because it's compatible with the surrounding development and consistent with the Knox County Comprehensive Plan.
Thank you. And do we have, would you like to talk about your project? I'm sorry, I was getting ahead of myself.
That's okay. No, it's just a very straightforward, going to look to subdivide and put two homes on the 1.06 that it currently is. So
Okay.
rezoning to allow that.
Perfect. All right. Any questions? Seeing none, I will turn it over to District Commissioner Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You answered the question, what you were going to do with it.
Yes.
So
Yep.
I'm going to make my motion to approve this.
Thank you.
Push your little motion button.
Oh, sorry.
There we go. All right, we got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lee, second by Commissioner Fox, and voting is now open. Commissioner Lee.
Did I not vote? I thought I did. Did I not? Oh, I'm sorry.
All
I thought I
right.
voted.
You may change your vote. And voting is closed. And that passed 11-0. Best of luck with your project.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Item number 8 is 12A 25RZ, request of David Markovich for rezoning from A agricultural to RA low density residential. Property is located at 0 Millertown Pike, parcel ID 050-19702 in the 8th Commission District.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello,
You'll give your name and address, please.
David Markovich, 7523 Millertown Pike.
Okay. We don't have anyone signed up in opposition, and I don't see anyone here. So Director Brooks?
Planning Commission recommends that County Commission approve the RA Low Density Residential Zone because it's consistent with the Knox County Comprehensive Plan and surrounding development.
Perfect. Would you like to talk about your project?
We just plan on building, depending if we do septic systems or if we do the sewer system there, if we connect to the adjacent lot that's next to us, we're just planning on building anywhere from 3 to 5 homes, mid-size, probably 3,500 square foot homes.
Okay, perfect. Do we have any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, I will turn this over to District Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As we spoke on the phone and what you've already built and are living in one of the homes that's across the street from this. So, and you're planning on building something similar to it on this side, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, after our conversations and whatnot, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Perfect. I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Thompson and a second by Commissioner Jay. Voting is open. You may change your vote. And voting is closed. And that is 11-0. Best of luck with your project.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you. You too. Next item, please.
Item number 9, 1G 26RZ, is a request of Masana Investments LLC for rezoning from A agricultural to PR planned residential up to 9 dwelling units per acre. Property located at 7716 Strawberry Plains Pike, parcel ID 073-01401 in the 8th Commission District.
Hello.
Hello.
You know the routine.
Drew Staton, P.O. Box 11315, Knoxville 37939.
Thank you. We don't have anyone signed up in opposition. No one is here to speak. Director Brooks.
Planning Commission recommends that County Commission approve the PR Plan Residential Zone with up to 9 dwelling units per acre because it's consistent with the adopted plans and changing conditions in the area.
Thank you. Would you like to speak to your project?
Briefly, yes, ma'am. It's a quick one. As you guys know, staff recommended approval. Planning Commission approved unanimously, and we feel it makes sense here because it's in the urban growth boundary, suburban residential overlay. You have access to infrastructure that we've confirmed. You're across the street from a high-density mixed-use development, commercial corridor, Strawberry Plains, access to the interstate, Carr Elementary. Those options, and so we do feel that 9 makes sense. However, after Mr. Davis, our firm's president, he's taken a couple of calls from neighbors and had those conversations. Then we were able to meet with Commissioner Thompson. We feel that 8 units per acre might actually be closer to the sweet spot, and so we're open to 8 units per acre. And we also agreed to set aside an acre, a true acre for dedicated parking, if you will, and open space / a park for an actual green space park and parking outside of stormwater and infrastructure. So based on those reasons, we respectfully request approval, and I can answer any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, I will turn it over to District Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this, just for a historical perspective, this is a different conversation than what we did when we were looking at a property like Wooddale, right? And so that was further out in the county, where this is much closer to the interstate. You can hear the interstate from this property. And yes, there were several comments from the neighbors. Obviously, we always, with something particularly of this density, we're going to get some phone calls. I visited the property, and you have some challenges ahead of you. But given location and talking with staff, it's hard to not justify, particularly on paper, where this makes sense. I guess the challenges of the property itself, you've got a spring and some geological challenges. There's a lot of rock there too. But you have some neighbors, and so it's surrounded by ag, not ag in production, but there's forested land. You've got a church on one side, and so there's potential for conflict. But as we discussed through some conditions and the acre, because one of the developments that you referenced before was a townhome development that's on the other side of the interstate that is in the city. And driving through that one, that's really, it's lost all character, but this is in the county on this side of it. So the conditions that we came up with after speaking with staff too, sorry, my computer just decided to log me back out. I would like to address some of the concerns that folks had made about the spring. And so if there is a spring on the property, after speaking with Director Snowden, there are setbacks in addition to. So if a spring is identified, there's setbacks put in place beyond what the standard setbacks would be to protect those wet areas. And I am going to ask, based on Strawberry Plains Pike still being a 2-lane road, it's not necessarily in the East Knox mobility study to widen it yet. And there is a lot of traffic through there, so there may be some traffic conflicts. So we would ask for a traffic impact study to be done, and a couple things like that to address the traffic issue, because a lot of folks were saying, that's a blind curve. So, we may require a right turn lane just to get folks that are coming into the development off the road and out of the way. That may be a possibility. So I would like to make a motion to approve with 4 conditions. One would be a traffic impact analysis. 2, a 35-foot buffer is fairly typical because it is adjacent to ag land, but it'd be a non-disturb buffer to be classified as part of the common area. It must be preserved along property lines, excluding the road frontage. A continuous fence. Now, this fence is not for scenery purposes, right? It's not a vision fence. That's what the 35-foot vegetative buffer is for. What this is for would be to be installed for the purpose of security and prohibiting pedestrian access to surrounding properties. What we've learned in the past, and this could be like a chain link fence, right? But it'd be on the interior of that buffer. But what this does is it protects the residents of this residential community from venturing onto neighboring ag property. And if that buffer is wooded, well, what's the difference between this wooded area and the next property owner's wooded area? And if they get over there and they get injured, or some kids decide to go play in somebody's barn and get injured, it just keeps and also keeps folks from outside their community from coming in. So it's more of a protective thing. It's interior of the non-disturb buffer, the full length of the southern perimeter, and a minimum length that coincides with the length of residential development and vehicular access along the eastern and western property lines. So basically, if you built the townhomes out, then behind the homes, then there would be a fence. But beyond the homes, that fence would not be required. And then at least, speaking to that 1 acre lot, at least one level single lot with a minimum area of 1 acre must be created. This lot shall be centrally located and accessible to residents of the property. The space shall be established as a green space with turf grass and a minimum of 8 native trees. Half the trees must have an expected mature height of at least 50 feet. The intent of this is if you're going to create an acre of open space, it's usable. So if in the summertime you have an acre that's in the middle of this development, but it's 95 degrees outside and burning hot, nobody's going to use it. And so if you had a shaded area that gives folks a place to go, place to walk their dog, what have you, but it's much more cost effective from your all's end to not have to put in a $150,000 playground or something else for the residents to use. You can put in trees and have that shaded space. And a lot of this is kind of mirrored from the city code, where all trees retained or provided to meet this requirement shall be properly preserved, planted, and mitigated to ensure their survival to maturity. If trees are to be retained, a survey must be performed by a certified arborist to identify healthy trees that meet the above criteria for retention prior to the construction or clearing of the lot. Any tree which fails to survive or dies through maturation shall be replaced by the owner within 12 months or loss. The selection, installation, establishment, and maintenance of this lot shall be under the guidance and direction of Knox County UT Extension agents. We don't have a county arborist. Just thought I'd point that out to everybody. The city does, we don't. But UT Extension does have our arborists on staff, but they're for guidance and education and recommendations. But upon completion, confirming their involvement and the adherence to proper practices, maximizing the success of this lot, a letter stating as such from Knox County UT Extension must be requested by the owner and submitted to the Director of EPW. So I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Okay, I've got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Thompson. Do I have a second?
And that was for 8?
That was for 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Madam Chair,
Who said that? Oh,
may I ask a question?
yes.
I wanted to confirm, are you recommending the 8 that he agreed to reduce it down to, or are you recommending 9?
The 8 he agreed to.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Madam Chair, may I please seek clarification?
Yes.
On that 35-foot disturbance buffer, I'm just kind of, while I understand the intent, I'm not quite sure this is the proper time to do it because we don't have a concept plan, we don't have a grading plan. I think there are other ways we can meet that intent outside of that, such as we can agree to a type C screening after development or something along those lines where it's actually probably maintains that integrity more than it would a non-disturbance buffer itself at this point, because that just doesn't make a ton of sense and we don't know what we're going to do with it. I think it's a little preliminary for that.
Commissioner Thompson?
Well, as far as the non-disturbance buffer, I mean, is the 35 feet not already required?
Correct, as a setback, but we can disturb that if need be on the
Okay.
front end before plating. Okay. And if we're already doing this fence, which that's also a little arbitrary as far as when's the timing, who's responsible for that. I think now it's kind of, that's very arbitrary in my opinion. And so I think if we were to do, I think in lieu of doesn't make a ton of sense for us. So I just think clarification would be helpful.
Okay, well, I just know that on both sides, there's a well-established, pretty thick vegetative buffer already there. You can drive up the church driveway and there's quite a bit. I mean, I'd be fine going down to 20, but, for a non-disturbance, but in total, that 35 is going to be there, right?
Correct, yes, sir.
And so if the 35-foot non-disturbance, I mean, why would you have to go into that?
It just, well, as you discussed earlier, there are geological issues that we're going to run into, as is most properties now. There's no low-hanging fruit. And so what if we do need to grade up to, 10 feet of our property line? I feel like we should have the right to do that before we plat it versus a non-disturbance buffer that further constrains us at a rezoning level.
Well, I'm hesitant to, I mean, you mentioned 10 feet. I'm hesitant to do that just because if you did the 50, 60 foot tall trees that are already there, if you go within 10 feet, they're done. And it takes a long time to get that vegetative buffer up to where it's actually effective. So that's why I'm hesitant to really just shrink it back down. Because you have very large lot, single homes from the church on over. And as it states right, as it looks now, you can't see very far into that property with the vegetation that's currently there. And so that's kind of why it's much easier for the buffer, it's much easier to keep it than it is to try to put it back.
Well, I also think too, with a buffer, then that kind of, I think, eliminates the need for a chain link fence that is incredibly expensive when you're talking about all this perimeter of the property. So I think it could, or should be, in my opinion, small opinion, kind of one or the other type thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I felt like, in our conversation the other day, you seemed to understand the reason for the idea behind having the fencing. I'd be fine reducing it to 20 to give you a little extra wiggle room on that, but I really don't want to just wipe out the vegetation that's already there.
Okay. And when would we have to just install this fence, or would it be us? Would it be the end builder if we don't build them out? Is that something we can do tomorrow? I just don't understand.
In my mind, I figured it would be the end builder, because it would if it was something that would aesthetically fit with what they're already building. Because until people are living there, there's no reason for no reason for the fence.
Right. Yes, sir.
So I wouldn't necessarily think it would be something that you would be required to do as much as it would be the end builder, because it's unnecessary until people start moving.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Thompson, you've got two commissioners that want to speak. Are you good with that right now? If we can remember to request to speak on here, because now I'm being trained to go here and look in here. So I think Commissioner Russell is first.
Point of order, before speaking, do we need to withdraw the motion? Or do we need to have a second first?
We do need to have a second. Oh, yeah, we can discuss first without the, yeah. Okay, Commissioner Russell.
Yes. When you came here today to request that the zoning be changed from agricultural to PR9, you're saying you don't know what you're going to do with the property, but you say that his request to have a buffer is preliminary. Maybe it's preliminary for you to request rezoning when you don't even know what you're going to do with the property. I don't think that it is out of the district commissioner's responsibility to make sure that the property in his district is well-developed and to put standards on that property. So I will be voting no against this.
Commissioner Jay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question for, I guess, Ms. Brooks. Can you put a fence? Honestly, I'm 8 and 7.5 years. I have never heard of a rezoning where a fence was required as part of a rezone. We've done vegetation buffers, which I think is in our planning documentation, but I've never heard of a fence requirement, and I just wanted to know, is that something that we can put in the zoning conditions? I mean, it seems like we're creeping more and more into, you gotta have a fence, you gotta have a buffer, you gotta have a playground, you gotta have this, you have to that. I mean, is that applicable to rezoning before there's a concept plan, or are those the type of things that happen during the development plan phase?
Typically, well, Commissioner, no, our code does not speak to fences and requirements for fences. I would probably defer to Director Moyers on the appropriateness of conditions and what can be conditioned at the time of rezoning. But yes, there will be during the development plan phase, additional conditions are often placed or requested of the applicant and voted on by Planning Commission.
Mr. Moyers?
Well, as we've discussed in the past, the commission does have the authority to do conditional zoning. There's a few cases that speak to that. Unfortunately, they don't speak to the boundaries of that. There really isn't much guidance on what conditions one can place on a property. Myself, I don't see a lot of distinction between requiring the planting of trees and requiring the placement of a fence. They're both an expense. They're both done presumably to lessen the impact of development on neighboring properties. So I couldn't definitively tell you that this is or is not within our authority to conditionally zone property. I would be inclined to think that it is within the ambit of things that you could do. Because again, I don't see a functional distinction to be raised between planting a row of trees and planting a fence. One may be more expensive than the other, but at a certain point you start running into questions of administrative taking, but I don't think this would go that far. So I think this is something that would be within the authority of the commission to do.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moyers. Mr. Thompson, I totally understand the buffer, the tree buffer. I even understand the setting aside of 1 acre, which it sounds like the applicant has already agreed to. I worry a little bit about the specifics of the trees and the size and the height and whatever. I've never heard of the ag extension being our sort of policing authority on that. We've talked about reforestation plans, but we don't have one. We've talked about, I think the tree buffer is something that Engineering and Public Works can verify through the site plan and site development, and they are in our enforcement arm. Is that accurate, Mr. Snowden? He's kind of nodding his head. But then having a third, I guess I'm trying to think through, what happens if they go through the whole development and ag extension says, sorry, you have 7 trees that are 30 feet and not 50 feet. Like, what's the mechanism after it's done? Mm-hmm. What's the authority? They have the authority through Engineering and Public Works because they hold the bond and they hold the platting and they hold the final permitting. But ag extension has no authority to hold up a permitting or platting. Mm-hmm. So why them versus EPW and bringing a third party in? How would that ever be enforced on a legal factor? And maybe that's a question back to Mr. Moyers.
Can I? Okay. Right. And so by putting in here, a lot of this is pulled from the city's tree code, where they do have an arborist. We don't. UT Extension has an arborist, but yes, they are, they're not regulatory. And so by putting it in here, it gives us the framework, but what their task is, or role in this, is the implementation and the planting to ensure that it's a successful project. Not that they're policing it. It's just that if you're planting a tree, or you taking a 3-foot auger, digging a hole, putting a tree ball in it, and walking away saying, okay, I planted a tree, or you're actually doing it properly and going out 3 feet further all the way around the tree and making sure it's deep enough.
Maybe I got lost in the details.
That's the reason of UT Extension, is just to make sure that it's done properly.
So is your condition that the UT Extension has to supervise the tree planting and sign off onto it before what happens? Like before?
Well, just to say that it was done properly. It's all it says in here. It was just done properly.
What if they say it wasn't done properly? I'm trying to back up our engineering team that has to enforce this. So what happens if they give a design plan, mm-hmm. and they plot everything and they go through and they get their plans stamped and they go through the whole process. They build out the facility and they do the park in the middle and they don't plant the trees right.
Right. I guess if UT Extension says, no, we weren't consulted with this at all, then it falls on EPW to say, hey, it was in here. How did you do this? And just make sure that it was.
Can EPW hold up final plotting and planning and permitting and COs and everything based upon another third party? I don't want them to be set up for failure if they don't have a legal mechanism to say, when it's the city of Knoxville and the city of Knoxville has an arborist, they are the authority of city of Knoxville.
Right. Well,
When
and-
UT Extension is not the authority of Knox County.
No, they're not. And we have certified arborists out there. But at UT Extension, it's just a consulting tool part of this to say there's a resource here to make sure it's done right.
Oh, I get it. What happens
Right.
if it doesn't?
Right.
I'm always looking at the worst case scenario. So, Mr. Moyers, can anything be held up legally because the Ag Extension said you didn't plant the tree properly?
Well, if planting the trees properly are a condition of the rezoning and would thus be part of the condition for the development plan, then yeah, I think the engineering and public works could hold it up. You got to have somebody who can determine
Yeah.
whether this is done. I
That's
couldn't
fine.
do
I
it.
just, again, I've never heard of the Ag Extension being
No,
a tree
and-
police for.
And they might not choose to cooperate.
Have you asked them if they would do this?
Okay.
I did. Yeah, I reached out to them and said, what to the extent of what's your role? What can you do? And this was the answer they gave me as far as just a consultant role. They use outside consultants who are certified arborists and things for more regulatory things, but for them it's just a consultant role.
And Mr. Snowden, are you comfortable with all the work that your team has to do to be able to?
I mean, we, much like, we hold bonds for assurances for Drew and his team to do everything. So, I mean, we would hold a bond to ensure that these trees were planted and verified with the, whatever source of arborist you would like. So, yeah, we work to pleasure of this body. We'll be happy to implement whatever conditions you want to provide for.
Okay, the only thing I'll finish with this, and I thank you for the clarification. Again, never had this come through on the zoning before. I think Commissioner Thompson, I would encourage you to reconsider the continuous fence. If we have a buffer zone and you have tree barriers, every single zoning we've ever had for my 7.5 years have had that as a buffer between neighborhoods, but you're putting in a condition that's trying to police whether somebody walks onto somebody else's property and there's not a chance of enforcement I can walk onto my neighbor's property and walk back over and the church can too. And if that starts to become a condition that every single thing's we're going to just fence off Knox County and I think it sets kind of I would rather see natural barriers and people just obey the law instead of turn into fence land where every single piece of property has to be required of having a fence. And I think it adds more expense, but it also is just something that I would hope that you would reconsider and take that one off to receive some support.
Okay. The other side of that too is, as I mentioned to Drew, it'd be a coyote-free zone. People would turn their pets loose and no coyotes from outside could come in. That's kind of a joke, but
Just go right to the front.
I get what you're saying about the fence. If we took the fence off, I would want to go back to that 30. It's a give and take. So I would want to go back to that 35-foot buffer, but take the fence off.
Can I ask thank you, Commissioner Thompson, apologies. Back to this tree thing, I'm obviously too small brain to even understand, but let's say these arborists or whoever this third party is, are we paying for that? Do you have them come out? What if they don't? What if it takes them a year to come out when we're done, have invested all this money into this? Is there any regulation or oversight there, or are we going to have to post a bond that's in incredibly high amount that makes no sense? I'm trying to understand.
Sure. Well, in this, if there were trees you wanted to retain, which means you wouldn't have to put them in. If there were trees you wanted to retain, you'd want a tree survey done by a certified arborist to identify which trees are healthy enough to retain before you go in and clear it. As far as an arborist to come out and do it, they'd come out. UT Extension said that they would be willing to
That's not
to
finite.
identify the trees and stuff, but
They can say, you know, see what I'm saying? It's tough for us to or determine or be so, rely on their words so much when
Sure.
we don't have control of that. You don't have control, engineering doesn't have control. What if, I mean, the arborists, you know, that their business goes under or something happens and we're just stuck? That I don't think makes sense for these 8 trees. If we're going to do a 35-foot non-disturbance buffer, I think that's ample. And have a park that's an acre, and go down to 8 units per acre. We feel like that's pretty fair.
well, it's I mean, it's literally only 8 trees. And I mean, if we don't have some guidelines in here to ensure that this is actually a viable long-term thing, then what's the point in doing it? I mean, even the city of Knoxville has laid it out in their code, and which is a paraphrased. This is a paraphrased version of that, saying that they survive 12 months, and if for some reason they die before, whether it's the HOA, and I talked to Director Snowden too later on, if the trees died, then the county has the authorization to go in and replace those trees after you all have completed the project and are done with it. Something happens now the county has the authorization to go in and replace those trees. But it's just all this is just saying these are the trees that are selected, so we're not putting in tulip poplars, and just saying we put in some trees, which is not a native species, and so that's all this does.
But also, what if we accidentally plant the tree, or not accidentally, but plant trees in the wrong time of year and they die? Do we just keep replanting? I just think this is kind of a slippery slope that I'm not really following.
Right. That's why Knox County UT Extension is included in this, because they have the consulting part to say this is how you do this. These are the trees you choose, and so whoever you choose to do this part of the project, they have all the best information. So yeah, you're not trying to plant trees in the middle of June, July, and August, and taking 300 gallons of water over every day trying to keep them alive. So that's, I'm obviously the project's not, this project isn't going to happen and be built out in 6 months. It's going to take you some time. So I would like to amend the motion to remove the fence and leave the 35-foot buffer. Or, I'm sorry, Commissioner, there were other folks who wanted to talk.
Yeah, if we can finish up. Commissioner Jackson?
Thought I had it on, my bad. Commissioner Thompson, the traffic impact analysis, what is the point of that? Is that something additional that we'd be requiring, and what would be, what are we expecting it to say? And if it says something, are we going to then require a 4-lane highway or something? I don't know.
No, the idea behind the traffic impact analysis was to obviously see what the traffic pattern would be coming out of there, but going in and out. But that section of Strawberry Plains Pike, being so close to the interstate, has a lot of traffic going through there. And so it may be that a right turn lane may be required as an entrance into that subdivision instead of just a direct stub out, to get the traffic off of Strawberry Plains Pike, because coming from the interstate, it's.
Can we require that, Mr. Snowden?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. And then with the fence, does it specify what type of fence? Could it be chicken wire or?
He took that
barbed
off.
wire?
He amended his motion, took the fence off.
Oh, we took the fence off. Okay, okay. So, yeah, that's all I got.
Commissioner Fox?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was curious, what is the current use of this property? While you all were talking, I was looking at aerials and so forth, and it seems to have been highly denuded for 20 years. And then it was wooded at one point. Do you know what the current use is?
No, sir. It's been the same family for a while, and as far as I know, it's been vacant.
Okay. Seeing no other questions, so Commissioner Thompson has a amended motion on the floor to remove the fence. And we need a second.
Can you restate the conditions? Really distinct, like there are 3 conditions now, and what are those?
There's 3 conditions: a traffic impact analysis, a 35-foot non-disturbed buffer to be classified as common area, and then at least one level single lot with a minimum area of 1 acre must be created. Those are the 3 main conditions.
Commissioner Durant?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Commissioner Thompson, with the one level single acre lot, you mentioned something about the tree, say that full, please restate that condition to its entirety. Because that was also where you mentioned the 8 native trees and half of them have to be a certain something.
Yes. You want me to read that condition? Okay.
Yes.
At least one level, single lot with a minimum area of 1 acre. This lot shall be centrally located and accessible to the residents of this property. This space shall be established as a green space with turf grass and a minimum of 8 native trees. Half of the trees must have an expected mature height of at least 50 feet. All trees retained or provided to meet this requirement shall be properly preserved, planted, and mitigated to ensure their survival to maturity. If trees are to be retained, a survey must be performed by a certified arborist to identify healthy trees that meet the above criteria for retention prior to the construction or clearing of the lot. Any tree which fails to survive or dies through maturation shall be replaced by the owner within 12 months of loss. The selection, installation, establishment, and maintenance of this lot shall be under the guidance and direction of Knox County UT Extension agents. Upon completion, confirming their involvement and the adherence to proper practices, maximizing the success of this lot, a letter stating as such from Knox County UT Extension must be requested by the owner and submitted to the Director of EPW.
So that's all the one level single acre lot condition.
Correct.
Are those trees only on the single acre lot? Are those requirements only for
Correct.
the single acre lot?
Correct.
A minimum of 8 native trees? Or is it only 8 native trees?
A minimum of 8.
So if they
wanted-
only had 8, that would still cover it.
If they only had 8, that would still cover it, yes.
Thank you for that clarification.
Commissioner,
Sorry, I didn't hit the.
you're okay. Commissioner Jay.
Is that work by UT Ag Extension at no expense to the applicant?
Correct.
Their entire work?
Correct.
Okay.
That's what they're there for.
All right, I'm just asking the question. I don't know do you have any other questions?
Sure, this doesn't, I don't think the essential nexus, if you will, justifies what we're talking about here. You have vacant property to the south, vacant property to the east, a small church to the west. We've gotten 2 calls, no opposition. I feel like we're kind of really getting ahead of ourselves here when we've already agreed to these things. And so when we talk about trees, what if the trees aren't available that you're specifying? What if they die? What if we have to post a bond and the bond's never released? I think there are just so many issues that this is going to snowball into that we're not really kind of thoroughly thinking through at a rezoning level.
Director Snowden, for a lot of this size and for 8 trees, would this be something that they would have to post a bond for? Or would it be included in the entire project?
We typically would like to have a separate bond because obviously we want to make sure his work is completed satisfactory by Drew and his team, that we can give that money back. Like when they do once they get it stabilized, we give stabilization bond back. We don't want to hold no more of their credit than absolutely necessary. So in that instance, I think a separate bond might be beneficial both for us and potentially for the applicant.
Okay.
Commissioner Thompson, I totally get you're trying to do your buffer stuff. There's a couple of places that I have heartburn with. One, and not to use technical words, but the whole tree thing is a little loosey-goosey for me. Like if you tell them that they have to do 6-foot green giants offset by every 6 feet, so they don't kill themselves. And he knows that it's a green giant, Jim's people knows that it's a green giant. The difference with the county and the city, and tell me if I'm wrong, but the county's engineering, I mean, we're short people. So his job is already hard enough. The city has a lot more people in engineering that they can go and do this, and they've got their code and they've got everything. We don't have that. So that's kind of where I get a little heartburn about it, because he does make a good point of saying, what if it's not the right time? What if the tree arborists aren't available? What if, and then it falls to Jim and his people, and Jim is going to do it if we ask, but it is putting additional strain on his group that is already kind of strained on the projects that are already going on. So I get if you wanted to be specific, like I would be like, if you want to have him do the nature boundary and then do the green giants every 6 feet on top of that and had a few shade trees and name exactly what it is. But that's where I think, that's where I've got a little bit of heartburn, because it just is a little gray area for me. So I'm just making that point. So Commissioner Rawls?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did second this in the point, and I did get a little confused because, and I would ask this of Commissioner Thompson. I'm okay with the main property, all the conditions that you placed on the main property, the 35-foot setback, the impact study. But when it comes to that 1 acre and the arborist, and I just, that does give me a little heartburn, like you said, Commissioner, is adding in a third party that we have no control over, no measures over. Like, in the city, the city tree situation is a little bit different than the county. City trees are designed so that you have breathability, you have shade, et cetera. So I guess I'm asking, would you be okay with pulling those conditions from that 1 acre lot? And I guess I'm asking for a substitute motion. Would you be, amendment to your motion, keeping the conditions that you had originally on the main lot and then removing that arborist one and the trees, the 8 trees from that 1 acre lot.
Okay, let me address Commissioner Oster first. The reason it's left open is because it's native trees. So you could have oaks, you could have bald cypress. You know, the bald cypress will get 70 feet tall. They're massive, much like your green giants, but they have a much broader leaf space.
I'd probably feel better if you just put that. Like if that's the tree that you want to put in there, those 8 trees, they know what they look like. They would know what they look like. They go to the nursery and get those trees. Like that's what I say. When I've done mine, I've gotten really specific, so you know exactly what they are. It's not kind of, it just feels gray in there to me. So
you'd prefer that I name.
I think if you want it to go
and say
70
it needs to be
feet, I
this
think you
variety.
tell them I've got to have however many of this. My other issue with that 1 acre in there, which I love that they're doing, but is the HOA going to take that over, or is that going to be green space that Knox County is going to?
It would
It's
be
gonna
owned,
be the
it would be
HOA?
owned by the HOA.
Okay.
Right, so it'd be owned and managed by the HOA, but if something happened to the tree, Knox County, according to Director Snowden, correct me if I'm wrong, if something happened to the tree, if it died 5 years from now, and it's not mature, it's still immature, we could then go in and
That
replace
kind
it.
of leaves that open too, that if you have an HOA that doesn't want to put those trees there because they want to use that green space for something else once the development's developed,
Mhm.
and they want to use it for something else, say, but then there are so many trees there that they
Right.
can't use it for the HOA. I'm just playing devil's
Sure.
advocate
Well,
because
and-
it's getting a little,
Well, on a full acre, 8 trees is not It's
No,
not, it's not very
a
densely
lot.
populated.
It's not a lot. But I would feel better if you named them and then
Okay.
said that. That's just me. And I don't know how, Commissioner Rawls has got the second on there. I don't. So
Okay.
that would be up to him.
Would you feel more comfortable if I named the trees and it was this instead of, leaving it? The arborist part is there just to make sure that the lot is successful. That's all that's there for.
I would be okay with you naming the trees, and I would just not want to hold them to the third party, like stepping into county business, because the arborist, while the UT probably has maybe 5 arborists. How many do they have?
In Knox County, I think we have 2.
2. Those 2 people may not be there next year. They may not be there by mid-year. Like, it's a university, so they're always turning over. So I just
it's not. Well, it's actually they're employed by Knox County. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, they're Knox County UT Extension.
All right. I would just feel more comfortable with. I'm good with the tree naming. Like, we know specifically it's these type of tree. I'm good with that part.
Okay.
We got a couple other commissioners.
Okay, go ahead.
Commissioner Lee?
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I have an issue with the whole arborist too. I don't want another party coming in and doing the whole thing. To me is, if you want the name of the trees, but I would be voting against the arborist language at all. Thank you.
Commissioner Jackson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I probably echo other folks' opinions on this. I think it is getting a little too complicated with all of these requirements. We used language a few months ago on several other parcels where we required trees that met the city of Knoxville, definition of shade trees. And I think we might have said 2 per acre, whatever that was. And then we also said it also requires a 1 acre lot, but where we stopped at was just, hey, leave it up to engineering and say, hey, you've got a 1 acre park. You got this 1 acre park. It's got to have 8 shade trees, and period. I think if we simplify it and then allow, instead of micromanaging it to, it's got to have this person approve it and that person approve it, and then you get ifs or let's allow our planning staff and engineering staff to manage it and make it simple for them to understand.
Okay.
As a developer, how do you feel about that if we just said, hey, it's just got to be 8 shade trees?
I think that makes more sense. And again, giving that third party out of here, I think will be easier for everyone, especially engineering public works, essentially this is going to fall on them.
Yeah.
So.
And I agree with you, Commissioner Thompson. I mean, I'm a huge tree guy, so I'm the one who pushed trees on these other ones. I think it's just getting a little too complicated for staff.
Then let me amend it again.
Can we get these other 2
I'm sorry,
commissioners? No, you're fine.
I don't see the roster like you do. I'm sorry.
I know, and that's why I said that. Commissioner Dredd, and I hope I'm going in the right order.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
Mine was just more going back to the requirement of the trees on the single acre lot. Since the question, my other question was who would take over, and you said the HOA. What if the HOA accidentally kills one of the trees and that stipulation was in where Knox County would have to come back and enforce it somehow? Then we have to step back in to a privately owned acre. So I know you said you were about to amend your motion. So just, that's something I would like to be kept in mind too. If once it's turned over to the HOA and they don't do the proper upkeep and maybe even accidentally are doing something with it and cut a root and one of the trees dies. I don't want it to fall back on the county to then have to go back to the developer to fix that issue when it was of no fault of them. And also taking time away from our engineering department.
Sure. Okay.
Got one more. Commissioner Hill?
Thank you. I just want to caution everyone that we're making assumptions about what we think is going to go on this property. And we really need to be very careful about that. I mean, I know they're asking for PR 8, I believe is what I heard the recommendation. There may not be an HOA. I mean, it may be rentals. I mean, I'm just saying that we are really starting to reach and make assumptions that might not be the wisest thing to do, given all we've got control over is just the actual zone itself, not what falls within that zone.
That's a point. Okay, so we are done. Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, so let me go ahead and narrow it down. The variety of trees would be bald cypress, red maple, and a pin oak. And then a question to Director Snowden. Yeah. The question I have is to Commissioner Durrett's thoughts. Let's say the HOA, it would be owned by the HOA. And let's say if, 3 years, 5 years from now, whatever, something happens and they kill the tree, would they be required to put it back? Or could they choose to not replace it if they wanted to put in a playground or do something with it?
And I may need Mr. Moyer's help on this. I think if it's a condition of this body, we would require that. I would liken this to like a detention pond or anything else that is required by Knox County. Somebody, the HOA long-term can't go in and modify a detention pond. And if they do, we have the ability to go in and repair those things and charge the applicant or the homeowners. I would assume a maintenance agreement could be wrote similar to that. But I'd be interested in what Mr. Moyers has to say.
Well, it's very much like that. I would think that if we rezone with these conditions, then when it goes before the Planning Commission for a development plan, the development plan is going to include those conditions in it, and then they'd be enforceable like any other anything else part of a development plan. So, I think Mr. Snowden's correct.
Madam Chair, may I ask a quick question?
Mm-hmm.
These types of trees, Commissioner Thompson, do we know how much they are? Is it $100 a tree? Is it $40,000 a tree?
It's not 40,000 a tree.
Okay, but is it 20? I mean, there's economies of scale and everything, and things have a cost to install. If there's 2 arborists in the whole county, who knows when they can or can't come. Not quite following that even outlining specific trees makes any more sense at all than the original motion.
Okay, so if it's $100 a tree, 8 trees, it's $800. It's not a big deal.
Sure.
And I mean, it's
50-foot tall is a tree is $100.
not, and mature, it's, I don't.
Big tree.
What are you hauling that sucker in on? But I mean, we're only talking about 8 trees, but the concept behind this was to have, because the development you told me to go look at, it would be similar to this, was on the other side of the interstate on Strawberry Plains Pike, and there are no trees. The parking goes right into the road. I guess the flower bed in the yard is, most of them were smaller than this table. And there's no green space. There's no place for them to walk. The kids, I don't know where they're going to play because there is no space. I don't know where people walk their dogs because there's no dirt at all. So the idea behind this 1 acre with 8 mature trees that would create shade and a usable space within the development to walk your dog, go have a picnic, get out of the house, go do something, but not have to leave to go do something because there's no access to Carter Park. And just having an acre with 8 trees on it for a shaded area, because in the summertime, it's so hot, you're not going to use it. And just have a usable space in the interior of the development.
For clarification, I referenced that development, not the entirety. I mentioned the aesthetic, which would be the aesthetic of the building. I mentioned nothing about the lack of green space or anything like that, just for clarification purposes. Because if we're agreeing to an acre, that's a pretty hefty area for residents to enjoy, much more different than the other development that we're talking about. So yes, sir.
Sure. But even, at this density, it's going to be crowded. And so just trying to ensure there's something for them to do without having to pull it on Strawberry Plains Pike to go somewhere to get out of the house. No, the trees are very economical. We've planted pin oaks and bald cypress along our creek banks in our CS. You could probably get them for free if you knew the right person at Soil Conservation District. They're native trees. They're very common.
Commissioner Jay?
Can I just clarify, is the current amended motion to approve at 8 units an acre with a 1 acre set aside for open space with 8 specific trees, a traffic impact study, and a 35-foot non-disturb buffer?
Correct.
I think so.
Is that what we were voting on?
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Durant?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So no longer is the UT Ag Extension a part of this, the arborist, or it is?
Correct. That they would be out. Now, if there were any of these trees identified to be want to be retained, so they're already mature and on the property, they would need a tree survey done by an arborist to say we could keep this tree, and that was per engineering. If you wanted to keep that tree, otherwise you could clear it and just install new trees.
Okay. Will you restate the motion?
Yes, just that
With-
portion.
No, all of it,
Okay.
with every word that goes in it,
Okay.
because there have been a lot, and I'm not following.
Oh, crud. Hold on. Okay, so a traffic impact analysis shall be completed by applicant, a 35-foot non-disturbed buffer to be classified as a common area, must be preserved along property lines excluding road frontage, remove the fence, and then at least one level single lot with a minimum area of 1 acre must be created. This lot shall be centrally located and accessible to residents of this property. The space shall be established as a green space with turf grass and a minimum of 8 native trees, which will be the red maple, pin oak, and bald cypress. All trees retained or provided to meet this requirement shall be properly preserved, planted, and mitigated to ensure their survival to maturity. If trees are to be retained, a survey must be performed by a certified arborist to identify healthy trees that meet the above criteria for retention prior to the construction or clearing of the lot. Any tree which fails to survive or dies through maturation shall be replaced by the owner within 12 months of loss. We're removing extension, UT extension from this, and removing the letter from them.
Commissioner Durant?
Thank you, Madam Chair. You had me with the traffic study, the 35-foot non-disturbed buffer, the single lot, the 8 native trees, and the specific cypress or ball cypress, red maple, pin oak. If it had stopped there, you had me.
Okay?
The specifics that follow, I think, still put that in a what if this happens or what if that happens or all the, it muddies it up and it puts more, it's getting too complex, I think. I'm good with the single lot with a minimum of 8 native trees. I'm fine with that. And I do understand the arborist on keeping the others if they want to keep some wherever this acre is located. I understand that too, rather than clearing it and planting their own. I just think it's just getting too muddied up. That's me.
If where you're saying it's getting muddy, where you're saying is where it says all trees retained or provided to meet this requirement shall probably be preserved, planted, and mitigated, that part, or?
It's the 12-month one. It's if they don't survive in 12 months and I can't remember the specifics you said.
But is any tree which fails to survive or dies, you may put within 10 years instead of through maturation, because sometimes they don't mature for another 30. We put a year time frame on that.
I don't want to put it, that's my,
I think it's no time frame. I think she's just saying we can do 8 trees and we're done. There's nothing after that. Is that right?
Yes.
That's where I'm at. That's where I think it's getting way too.
So I want to make a substitute motion to approve the request at 8 dwelling units, planned residential up to 8 dwelling units an acre with the following conditions: the traffic impact study, the 35-foot buffer, non-disturb buffer, the 1-level single acre lot with a minimum of 8 native trees, including, or I guess not including, but of the following species: ball cypress, red maple, pin oak. Period.
Okay. So we have substitute motion on the floor. Do we have a second? No, we need a second. Yeah, it just takes a second. Okay, so we have a second by Commissioner Lee. Okay, so that's what we're voting on right now, is the substitute motion.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Commissioner Thompson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner DeWitt, would you mind to amend your motion to just add that all trees retained or provided to meet this requirement shall be properly preserved, planted, and mitigated? And that's just ensuring the proper installation, so that they don't just get a 2-foot auger, dig it, plant a tree, and say we're done. Because in the conditions that you have, if it dies in 3 months, they don't have to put it back. And so what's the purpose of putting in the trees if there's nothing to ensure that, or to make sure that it actually makes it a year?
I understand that. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Madam Chair. Who would be the one to make your statement again?
Okay, so where all trees retained or provided to meet this requirement shall be properly preserved, planted, and mitigated to ensure their survival to maturity.
Who's going to ensure they were properly preserved, planted, and mitigated?
That would be, if I'm not mistaken, that would be an arborist through engineering. If you have it in there, then there's something to say, okay, it wasn't done, it died, and you go, well, why did it die? Well, they didn't take the burlap off the root bag, right? And so if you say, oh, it wasn't properly done, then you got to put it back. So just making sure it's done properly, that's all it.
I understand that. But then it gets back into the engineering and public works and/or UT ag arborist, and we're back to muddying it up some. So I appreciate that. Director Snowden, is there another way to ensure the trees are properly planted? Is that something your department usually looks at? Is this new?
Not really to that specificity. We usually just say that we need, a bond to ensure, survivability at 12 months. And if it lives the first 12 months, most likely it's going to make it beyond that. So that would be the way. I mean, unfortunately, we don't have an arborist. And,
Right.
the folks who would be looking at this wouldn't necessarily be very, very trained in it. But I mean, I think how we would handle it in the past on landscaping is usually just hold a bond for 12 months, and if it lives 12 months, we release the bond, because at that point, it's went through the summer cycle, and we anticipate it to live at that point.
And that's something that we do, I mean, maybe not on an every zoning request basis, but on a regular basis is something you're familiar with.
We do it a lot, not so much for residential, but commercial, because, obviously you're trying to screen that commercial from the residential, so we do it a lot on residential.
Okay.
Commercial, I'm sorry.
Okay. Is that sufficient, Commissioner Thompson?
Yes, if it's stated in there that they have to survive 12 months.
Would that be in the, Director Snowden, would that be in their development plan? Or would that be something that would be dealt with during the development plan phase?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So we don't have to include it here in the amendment?
And then they'll hold a separate bond.
Correct.
On that.
Thank you. So I will keep the amendment as is, since that is something that can be done. Excuse me, the motion as is. Thank
Okay.
you.
So we have a substitute motion from Commissioner Durrett and a second by Commissioner Lee. Seeing no further discussions, open voting, please. And you may change your vote. And voting is closed. Oh, Commissioner Frazier. Okay. All right. But yes. And that passed 7-4. Okay.
Thank you all for your
Good luck
service.
with your project. All right, now we're going to go back to number 2. I don't think they've come in, but I would like to just call it out just in case they did.
Item number 2. Is the request of SH Build Group team from CNK Neighborhood Commercial with conditions and TO Technology Overlay to PC Planned Commercial and TO Technology Overlay, property located at 0 Level Road, parcel ID 118-01203 in the 3rd Commission District.
Okay, has the applicant come in? Okay, I've already talked to them, so I'm not quite sure what happened, but I will make a motion to defer for 30 days. And I'll reach out to them, and so I have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Oster and a second by Commissioner Jay, and we will open voting. Commissioner Russell?
Well, item number 2, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to make sure I'm voting for the correct thing.
All right, and votes can be changed, and voting is closed, and that passed 11-0. Now we can go to the ordinance.
Item number 10, O-25-12-101, consideration of an ordinance amending the Knox County Code, Appendix A, zoning, Article 6, revising Section 6.10, 6.30, 6.40, and 6.50, and adding a new Section 6.90 pertaining to vested rights following recent legislative actions and the adoption of the Knox County Comprehensive Plan. This amends Ordinance O-99-130, adopted September 10th, 1990. This is on second reading.
Thank you. Do we have any discussion? I've got a motion on the floor to approve by Commissioner Jay, second by Commissioner Durrett, and Commissioner Russell.
Yes, I want to thank this body for allowing me the extra month to review this. I did read the entire thing in entirety, had a great conversation with Director Brooks, and it allowed me to get really comfortable with it, and I do want to thank you guys for affording me that privilege.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, this is a roll call vote, so voting is open. So we're pretty much all roll call voting now, aren't we? Yeah. All right, you may change your vote. And voting is closed. And that passed 11-0. We don't have anyone signed up for public forum on open topics. Oh, there is. Is there somebody? I'm sorry. Okay, come on up. I didn't have it on my paper. I apologize. Oh, well, I'm sorry. Pull the mic down and just say your name and county of residence there. There
Yes.
you go.
I'm Katie Smith. I live at 7316 Melanie Lane, Knoxville, Tennessee, in the Halls community. And thank you all so much. I know it's late, and I'll be brief. Really, the purpose for me being here is to raise awareness to everyone here of what can happen when violations are ignored or simply not followed up on. You see, we have neighbors right next door to us who built a one-level garage apartment for their adult daughter back in 2022. At the time, the structure was inspected and deemed not to code because, as I'm sure Director Snowden will tell you, a garage apartment has to be above a garage, not beside it, like my neighbor built. So also keep in mind that this family and their adult daughter they have continually harassed multiple families on our streets since 2017 by using the Codes Department, TWRA, Animal Control, and Knox County Sheriff's Office to make numerous false claims. Records will show that every complaint that this family has made against us has been fraudulent or false in the eyes of each of the named departments. All while this family has an individual living in an unapproved living structure on their property, and while their lot is covered 80% by buildings, which my understanding is that is not allowed. At a zoning variance meeting on July 27th, 2022, the neighbor's apartment at 7314 Melanie Lane, and yes, they did get an address for the apartment, it was deemed not to qualify for occupancy and would need to be either torn down and rebuilt, or they could remove the cooking stove, but the adult daughter could not stay in it overnight. That's what they were told. The homeowners did remove the cooking stove, and afterwards, the Codes Department sent them one letter, which the homeowners did ignore that letter. I know that from my recent inquiries. They were sent another letter just last December after my multiple contacts with not only the Codes Department, engineering, Knox County Commissioner, thank you, Ms. Lee, for finally calling me back, calling the mayor's office. They were sent another letter that they have since ignored as well. At that meeting in 2022, I made a statement before the variance board, and I said, if you allow this to happen, you're going to embolden this family, and they're going to believe they can get away with anything, and that has come true. The adult daughter has been living in that apartment since 2022. She lives in the apartment. She sleeps overnight in the apartment. She houses animals in the apartment. She cleans and decorates her front little porch of the apartment, which a normal apartment occupant would do, but she should not be doing because that's not a livable structure. At least that's my understanding. Furthermore, she and her parents continue to harass us on our street. What we've been told and what is so maddening to me is that according to EPW and the Knox County Law Director, the only way that this can be resolved is if the homeowner himself requests a reinspection, which he's never going to do, and someone from Knox County Codes has to personally witness her living in this. And according to the Law Director and EPW, they can't even walk onto the property. The homeowner has to invite them onto the property to come inspect it. And I know good and well the homeowner's never going to do that. So my question really, and I would love for someone to answer this for me, is what are the codes even for? What are they for if they're not going to be enforced? Why are building permits required if individuals such as my neighbors can clearly violate them with no recourse? And why do we leave it up to the homeowner to request the inspection when it is clear in this case that the homeowners can just ignore it and get away with it with no fines, no retribution, nothing? Now, while there may not be further action that can be done in my case, I just ask that you take this as a cautionary tale of what can happen when people don't do their jobs. In my eyes, the way I see it, and I'm not in your shoes, but the way I see it, if you know somebody is violating something, and it comes before a variance board, and the variance board knows that it's happening, and there's a clear violation here, wouldn't you want to follow up on that? But now, because someone didn't follow up on it, and it's not because Adam and Eve brought sin into the world like you told me on our phone call, Miss Lee. We are now stuck, and I am essentially a hostage in my own home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
Commissioner Jay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We spoke on the phone, and I got stuck in the same thing that you did, because we had a good conversation, and you seem like a very reasonable person. I went to the engineering department, and it got legal very quickly. I think the law department and I got exactly where you were, and so I'm not exactly sure where it sits today. I don't know if the engineering or legal team are prepared tonight to do it, but I just want you to know that you're not forgotten about. But I got stuck like you got stuck, and so I'll keep working on it.
Well, you're taller than me, so I thought maybe it's just because I'm short.
No, stay. I think some commissioners might have some questions, so stick around for a second.
You want to come back up?
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. Commissioner Fox?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I just want to make sure you're talking about 7320. That's who added the
7312.
7312. Okay, on the
Yeah.
other side.
Which is interesting too, because if you look at KGIS and you look at the actual lot map, you don't even see the garage apartment. But if you pull up the Google aerial view, you see it clearly.
Right. I do see it. Well, I just wanted to note, this is precisely why, in some cases, enforcement of regulations should be privatized. And that's why, for instance, when it comes to defending the Second Amendment right, the county ought to enable private citizens to enforce their right and give them an incentive to do so with a fee shifting provision within the ordinance, because the county has limited resources, and you're dependent upon whether the county authorities have the motivation to enforce something, even though it's the law. And so when you bring in a third party and say, hey, we're going to give you standing to sue, that gets people honest if they're not going to be honest. And so that explains something about that ordinance that I discussed. And maybe we ought to consider, Mr. Moyers, I'm certain, may have some opinions about whether zoning, to some limited degree, enforcing zoning or codes violations could be delegated to certain third parties, like that, maybe they're adjacent, so they wouldn't have standing to pursue a codes violation privately.
I'm going to have to look at this because I hadn't looked at it in a while, but I believe that already exists in state law and in our code.
Okay.
But I'll take a look at that.
Okay.
There's some things that we can probably do. I've had a couple discussions about this. But it's been a while, frankly, and I don't remember all the details and why we felt there was a problem. I think there was a problem of proof, but I think there may be some ways we can get around that. So,
Well, I mean, I even emailed Mr. Elliott with EPW and told him that there is body cam footage that was captured December 18th of last year, showing this individual coming out of her apartment, but was told that that wasn't good enough.
Director Moyers, are you good with her giving you a call tomorrow and giving you time to look back into this?
Sure, that's fine.
That'd be great.
Would you do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you for coming down. And I'm sorry I missed you too. All right. Do we have any other business, any announcement? Just lost what I was going to say. Blank.
Any other business?
Yeah, anything? Okay, we are not meeting until next Wednesday at 5 o'clock, and I assume we're back in the large assembly room, hopefully. None of us like it here. I guess that's it. Perfect. Oh, hold on a second. Junior commissioners, don't leave, right? Don't move. You want them to stay in their seat? Okay,
Well, we're going to rearrange, but yeah.
okay. Anything, do we need to do anything else? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn? Do you want commission here to watch? Oh, we don't want anybody here to watch. I'm gonna sit in the audience. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn? Second? All right, have a good evening, we're adjourned.